Hey everybody, welcome to the Thriving Lives Community Zoom call. Happy January, happy 2025, happy New Year. Hope everybody had a good holiday season, a good New Year's. Hopefully you don't live in the Midwest where we got that foot of snow, which I could be wrong, but in my 31 years of life, it's got to be the most snow we've ever got. At least the most I've
It's
ever
pretty
had to shovel.
close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember some ice storms and stuff like that in the past, but don't remember it being this much snow. So that was fun shoveling yesterday. Renae, did you go out and shovel?
I did,
You
believe it
did?
or
Why?
not.
What'd you shovel? You don't have a house.
Well, I didn't shovel my entryway, but my entryway, like my door to my apartment, I got the neighbors to do that. They offered. Well, one just did it. One, I asked him if I could borrow the shovel. He was like, yeah, I'll just pop over next. And I was like, oh my God, that's so nice. Thank you. And then by the next morning, it had piled up again. And then I like walked outside and my dog and I like hopped over it. And then like an hour later, I thought like the snow crew was here. And I'm like, that's kind of strange. Like, why is only my door like and sidewalk cleaned off? No one else's is. Like, that's kind of sucks, but glad they picked mine to start. Um, and then my neighbor, he sees me later and he's like, yeah, I woke up and did your door like first thing this morning. And I was like, oh my God, you're so sweet.
That's
But
a,
I had to shovel all the snow behind my car out
oh,
because when they went through and like just plowed like the streets, they kept the snow behind the cars. And so I don't own a shovel, so I had to just borrow it from other people that saw me outside standing there cleaning my car. So I did actually have to shovel, which not a fun time.
I don't mind it. It
5
was
minutes outside between cleaning my car.
I didn't get
Yeah,
a workout in, so I was happy to get it done.
yeah. It's heavy. I don't usually like shovel snow.
It is. It is. It is. All right. Well, welcome everybody. And tonight we are talking about pillars of health and success, which we're going to dive into right now. Let's go ahead and do it. So, as we come into 2025, I think it's super, super important that hopefully you guys have already been doing your goal setting. You've done your reflections on how was 2024, what went well, what was a struggle, what are some areas of improvement in your life, what do you need to put more energy and intentions into to conquer 2025. And if you're here part of Thriving Lives coming into this new year, then you're likely here and your goals are likely health and fitness related. So I think this is a perfect time to kind of kick off the year with this topic. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you can guys kind of see my PowerPoint that we're going to dive into. Again, please throw a message in the chat or pause this if you guys want to, add something, add to this or ask a question or anything of that nature. Share screen. All right, let me know if you can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Do we see that? The pillars of health? All right, beautiful. Let's dive on in. So, first and foremost, health, right? So, water, sleep, energy, nutrition, and digestion, exercise, who you surround yourself with, mindfulness, ability to reflect, mobility, accessibility, body able to do certain tasks. I think also the content you're consuming, right? So if you're on social media, if you're watching the news all the time, if you're a very empathetic person and you're always watching the news, probably going to bring down your mental health as well. So know kind of what your boundaries are, know what you're consuming, both physically and, mentally as well, and emotionally. If you have, people in your life as well that are just an energy suck, maybe reduce your amount of time spent around them or set boundaries for yourself, or maybe it's time to cut that person out of your life. So that's going to be some health. Success, simply put, organization, structure, systems, who you surround yourself with, measurement of progress, right? And success looks different to everybody, and your goals are obviously all different as well. So we're going to be talking today more about the pillars, right? The pillars, the way that we live, the things that are kind of non-negotiables that are super important in our life, right? So pillars are something that should be staples in your day-to-day life. That doesn't mean that they can't evolve and change. They are, grounding values and aspects of your life. The minor details may change from time to time, but think of this as your core values, the main habits that you do to reflect those core values. Think about who you want to become, who you are, and making sure that the things you're living by day to day are aligned with that person who you are or who you are trying to become.
Marcus and I often talk about like our staples. And so that again just kind of goes hand in hand. And if you haven't heard us talk about staples yet, they're things we do like every day to be ourself, which we'll kind of dive more into. But yeah.
Yeah. All right. So pillars of success. So I've got 8 pillars of success, and these go hand in hand with health, and success in anywhere of your life, any aspect. If you want a better relationship with your spouse or with your children, if you are trying to do better in your career or build a business, whatever that looks like, these are some of those pillars of success. Obviously, this list could be, or this I don't know what I just said. This list could be endless. We could add 100 more things onto this. But these are the 8 pillars that come to mind when I think of success, right? So vision and goals. In order to know where we're trying to go, we have to have vision. We have to have set goals, which we already kind of discussed a little bit. Having that clear vision provides that direction and that purpose. And then, goals break the vision down into actionable steps. So vision and goals, number 1. Number 2 is discipline and consistency. Guys, this has to happen, especially when we're talking about health, when there are so many distractions in our life and so many things pulling our energy and attention away from eating the healthier foods, from exercising, from whatever it is that, just the mindless scrolling on your phone, stuff of that nature. Discipline and consistency matter, right? So consistent effort builds the habits and ensures steady progress. Develop routines, prioritize tasks, and maintain focus even when motivation wanes. Those last 2 lines that I just said, prioritize and maintain focus even when motivation wanes. These are 2 main things that I feel like I'm talking about 24/7 within check-ins and individual phone calls with different clients. Is number 1, and we're going to discuss this a little bit later on, but what gets prioritized, you're going to give energy to, right? If you prioritize going to work and not getting fired, you're probably going to be showing up to work on a pretty consistent basis, and not just not showing up because you don't want to that day. And we maintain that even during times we don't want to go. Not every day, even if you love your job, do you want to go to work that day. But you show up anyway because you have to, whether you want to or not. And hopefully you put on a damn smile once you get there as well, because if you're going to do it, then do it right. Like I said, we'll dive into kind of the prioritization later on. So growth mindset, viewing challenges as opportunities to learn, fosters resilience and innovation. That trial and error kind of mindset. Embrace feedback, stay curious, and continuously seek self-improvement. Again, if you are part of Thriving Lives, which all of you listening to this and on this call tonight, you're here for these same things, right? You want to grow in some way, shape, or form. In those weekly check-ins, which we'll kind of talk about this later on as well, those are your opportunities to reflect, especially on the struggles or a tough week that you might have had, and then set intentions for this coming week. Embrace the feedback that Renae and I will give you. Sometimes it's hard, right? Sometimes it's things you don't want to hear, but that you need to hear. Other times you're beating yourself up over stuff that you should be giving yourself grace for. So you've got to show up for those check-ins so we can facilitate that actual coaching aspect of all this stuff. Number 4 on here is adaptability and resilience. Change is inevitable, and the ability to adapt is crucial for long-term success. Stay flexible, learn from setbacks, and develop. Oh, I just lost my screen. There we go. Can you still see it, or did it throw us off?
No.
What?
We're gone.
1 second. Sorry about this. Share screen. That was weird. All right, are we back?
Yeah.
Okay. The little thing there. All right. So adaptability and resilience. Next slide here. All right. Next, number 5 is going to be hard work and determination. Why is it important? Achieving success often requires sustained effort and persistence. Commit to your goals, push through the challenges, celebrate small victories to maintain momentum. Again, a lot of this is done within those weekly check-ins at the very, very minimum, and ideally throughout the rest of your week as well. This stuff, working on your health, developing a better relationship with your body, with food, with the gym, cultivating better habits. If it was easy, Americans would be healthier across the board, right? We would all be living in much healthier lifestyles. We wouldn't be having majority of deaths happening because of poor living habits, how you're living matters a ton, right? And so hard work and determination, we have to be focused on the stuff. You have to prioritize, you have to put energy into this stuff because it's not easy.
These all kind of go together too. Like, in order to have focus, health, and well-being, and hard work and determination, you have to be disciplined. And so these all just kind of trickle together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Number 6 on here is health and well-being. Physical and mental health are foundational to sustain performance and happiness. Prioritize self-care, exercise, sleep, and balance work with personal time. And then obviously, nutrition would go into this as well. But so this is one of those things where, I working with certain entrepreneurs or people who are just workaholics and they just put so much time and energy and effort into their work, but then their health suffers because of that, which is a ton of people I know that are dear and, close to me, family wise and friend wise, but also within driving lines as well. If you're not going to make the time now for your health, for the betterment of your career, that's fantastic. You're going to get all those work accolades and it's all going to go well for you in that realm. But by sacrificing your health, you're just shaving off years. You're shaving off quality years that you could possibly be having. What's the point of working your ass off and building this awesome retirement account so you can live on that stuff and have all this free time and all this stuff after you're done with your job? If your health is dog shit, if you're not confident in actually how you feel, if you're waking up feeling sluggish and terrible every single day and not living kind of with that fire, in my opinion, none of that shit's worth it if your health is being kicked to the wayside. Number 7, huge one, they're all huge ones, but time management. Efficient use of time enables you to focus on what matters most. Plan your day, avoid procrastination, and eliminate distractions. One easy example of this is check-in day, right? For me, for my people, this is on Sundays. Don't wait until 8 p.m. to get your check-in done, or don't be like some of the people that showed up and checked in today. I mean, I'd rather have it on a Tuesday than not at all. But at the same point, if you're checking in on a Tuesday and you could have done it on Sunday or even Monday, are you prioritizing it? Is it really that big of a priority in your life if you're showing up 2 days late to do it? Again, I'd rather have it late than never. But this comes back to when you're signing up with Thriving Lives, when you're joining this team right here, one of the things Renae and I both tell you guys multiple times on the phone call, we say it every single Zoom call as well, is you got to show up for check-in day. This is the number one most important aspect of all this stuff. And we got to be prioritizing this stuff. Time management is huge in all of this. You got to plan out your day. We all live hectic, busy lives. One of the texts that I know Renae probably loves getting, I know I love getting too, is when somebody says, oh, sorry, been really busy, haven't got my check-in done or haven't whatever. Guess what? We're all busy. I got a daughter, she's 15 months old. When I didn't have that, I was working 2 jobs. When I didn't have that, I was playing college baseball and going to school, getting straight A's. Like, we all have busy shit going on. And I'm not saying mine's busy or my hard is harder than your hard, but we all got shit going on. Again, we all have the same amount of hours in the day. If this matters to you, then make it matter. Make it matter not just on the days that it's easy, make it matter on the days that you don't want to make it matter. Number 8, passion and purpose. Loving what you do fuels enthusiasm and perseverance. Align your work and goals with your values and interests. That one's more of a success one over kind of a health one, but either way, those are kind of our 8 pillars of success. Next page here. Your success will only go so far. What did you say, Renae?
I was just gonna say this one.
Oh, do it. Please do.
I'll chime in.
No, you take over. Yeah, I want you to
take So we kind of already talked about this a little bit, but you can't, I like to think of it as like you're like building a house. And you can't start building a house with a poor foundation. And so these pillars are helping you build that like solid foundation to be able to make room for more success and more abundance. Often when I talk to like my dental patients, I'll talk about their gums being like a foundation, like a house. And so it kind of relates same thing to this when your whole health is just your baseline. So Marcus kind of already touched on that a little bit, but at least it's kind of cool. Marcus and I both worked on this PowerPoint. And I'm like, everything I was gonna say, he already said it. So it's great. There's a slide coming up too about check-ins, but don't worry, we'll just skip that.
No, we won't skip that because that's the most important thing that we could possibly be talking about, probably. No, you keep going. I know I'm the clicking one, but I want you to talk right now.
Well, see, we already talked about this, but check-ins really do force you to not turn a blind eye. And so when you're just missing check-ins, it's easy for things in the week to kind of go by wayside. But whereas when you're checking in and answering these questions, you're looking back as to, okay, yeah, and hopefully you're looking at it in the moment as well. Like, yeah, I could have done this differently. And the more you check in and the more you get used to it, the more you'll be cognizant of noticing these things in your day-to-day life. But yes, you have to reflect inward. and be able to then, because if you're not paying attention to what's going on in your life, then you're just not going to have a good foundation.
Well, you're just not living intentionally. And if you don't have goals, that's totally fine. But
That's
again,
fine. Yeah.
you're here with Thriving Lives. You came
You
to
have,
us with goals. You do
yeah.
have goals, whether you want to buy into that today or not, because you've lost motivation today. The goals are still there. They're going to be there tomorrow. They were there last week. Nothing has changed other than your motivation has ebbed and flowed. Stay aligned with who you're trying to become and what those goals are. Other forms of reflection here.
Yeah. Just,
yeah.
as far as like, when you're not doing a check-in with a coach weekly, how are you going to reflect? Some people, personally, I love therapy. That's how I reflect on most things at one time, and then I'll reflect on everything daily as well. But therapy, journaling, some people like to reflect when they meditate or do yoga. Some people like to have like weekly goals and then check those goals off at the end of the week, like a habit tracker or things like that. Or just like a self-help book that will kind of spark inner reflection and spark you to kind of notice different things throughout your day-to-day life that you maybe wouldn't have noticed without hearing that in that perspective.
Yeah. Something my wife and I do every single Sunday. We started this Sunday after Lola was born, actually a year and a half ago. And every single Sunday we talk about how this last week went. What do we give energy to? What do we not give energy to? What are we feeling we need this coming week? Whether that's more friend time, or we haven't seen our parents in a little bit. Maybe we need to carve out time for that. Or, hey, I only got to the gym once or twice last week. I want to make that a priority. What's going well, what's not going well. How are we feeling, right? If we're feeling stressed and overwhelmed, let's talk about that stuff. If we're eating out 5 times a week and I don't want to do that because it's not aligned with what I'm trying to do, hey, how do we kind of pull back from that, right? So it's just that little touch point. So these options right here are great, and these are more one-on-one. But if you live with somebody, if you're in a relationship, then obviously that staying aligned together is obviously important as well. Our pillars now today, they help set us up and plant the foundation for a healthier tomorrow and healthier life 20 years down the line, right? So the things we're doing today that should be pillars in our life, they're not going to change somewhat over the course of time, but they're all probably going to be aligned still in 20 years from now. So if we're living aligned with that stuff now, we have 20 years of foundation building going into that. So it becomes natural, becomes just a part of what you do. Success doesn't mean much if it costs you your future. We kind of talked about this as well. Working excessive overtime, not prioritizing yourself, so on and so forth. Another way to put this, instant gratification is not sustainable. Poor choices today cost us longevity in our future. And that goes into so many different realms of your life. Pillars help us feel our best. When we feel our best, we are more likely to make better choices. Better choices over time lead to better lifestyles. Better lifestyles lead to longevity. Longevity is a pillar of success for most. Renae wrote that one. I love that one.
I did. Thanks.
Huh?
I said I did. Thanks.
Yeah. No, for real though. So
Which is, I mean, I feel like we could even go back to that slide too, because I feel like when people are like, when you're constantly overworked or when you're getting 5 hours of sleep or not hydrating your body, you're not likely to make the best choice in that moment either. And so again, that just kind of all falls back. Like you have to recognize, okay, I'm in this cycle. So now let's fix it and let's slowly start making better choices, not making a million better choices at once, but just slowly making those better choices to then lead to that better lifestyle that will then build a better foundation for your future.
Completely agree. So hopefully you're kind of thinking about your pillars right now. And honestly, I do feel like person to person, especially if you're here with Thriving Lives and you're starting to care about your health, maybe you always have, all of our pillars are going to look somewhat the same in terms of just, ideal wise. But then how you go about living those and executing those and putting energy into those, that's where there's differences, right? And then obviously your obstacles that you got to figure out kind of along the way. So in relation to both health and success, neither happen on accident, right? And we could be gifted, certain things in life, whether it's, better genetics than the person next to you. Maybe you were gifted an inheritance. Like there's things that do happen without our control whatsoever. But for the most part, we're not talking about those situations, right? We're just talking about health in general. Because you could have the best genetics in the world, but if you absolutely treat your body like garbage, that shit catches up to you at some point, right? So success does not happen accidentally. It happens from consistent action, regardless whether it's rain or shine. Meaning, regardless of your motivation, you still have to remain consistent and intentional in some way. That does not mean, again, it was a foot of snow on Sunday. Didn't get a workout in. Not the end of the world. That doesn't make or break anything, right? Consistency is showing up the next day. Or maybe you're not able to show up yesterday because, again, the roads here in Kansas City were dog shit. So maybe you didn't get a workout in on Sunday or Monday. So it's picking up and getting back that continuity as fast as you can. That's what consistency is. Consistency, which leads to success, comes from prioritization. I said this earlier. What gets prioritized will get done. So if you're not responding to a message from a friend, not because you don't have time, it's because you're not prioritizing. If you are not showing up to the gym, it's because it wasn't prioritized, more than likely, unless something happened in your week that threw shit off. But then you should be looking, okay, when's the next time I can get into the gym? If your meals are dog shit all week and you're not eating very well, did you go grocery shopping? Did you do any sort of meal prep? Did you do anything to set yourself up for success? No? Okay, it wasn't prioritized then. You find a way to make this stuff happen if it actually matters to you. And again, it should matter to you whether it's an easy day or a hard day, an easy week or a hard week. We still have to prioritize this stuff if you truly care about it. If you're here in TLF, then more than likely, one of the following items do not come very easy to you. And it's why you're here. Nutrition, workouts, meal prep, accountability. Those are kind of the main 4 things right there that people join Thriving Lives. They come to Renae and I for help with. So if you're here, one of these things, at least one of these things, if not all 4 of them or just a couple of them, you are struggling at. And that's why you're here, right? You joined to change and to evolve in one of these realms or all of them. That won't happen by you continuing to do the same things you've always done. To be different, you have to be different. To be different, you have to step out of your comfort zone and try some new stuff that you haven't been doing. Because if what you've been doing prior to coming here was working so great, you wouldn't be here in terms of some of these things, right? And that's uncomfortable. To do different things that's out of your realm of normal, it's uncomfortable. There's friction and different. But you also knew that when you joined. You knew that there was going to be friction. You knew there was going to be difficulties. You knew that some of the stuff was going to be difficult. Lean into that shit because it's only going to get harder the longer you go without investing that time and energy into it. And you're here, so dive in and get your money's worth. Get out of this what you can, and the future you will thank you for it as well. But give it long enough. Show up for your check-ins. Prioritize those above all else. We say that that's the number 1 pillar. You got to do that stuff. Trust your coach, Renae and I, in this process. You're going to get there, and one day you're going to wake up and realize you've been killing it. You're consistently getting all this stuff done, right? You're getting your workouts done. You're setting yourself up for success by prioritizing your grocery shopping, your meal prep, and you look forward to doing these things because it's part of what you do now, and you feel your best when you're doing it. And when you get knocked off because of the holidays or because of vacation or because you were sick, you can't wait to get back to doing these things. And you want to get back to that continuity and that healthy momentum and that healthy just overall lifestyle because you're thriving in life when you're crossing these T's and dotting these I's.
And I think sometimes too, it's important to add that not everybody falls in love with movement. Not everybody loves, like, I hate meal prep. I despise it. I don't want to do it, but I don't let that stop me from doing it. I do it every single Sunday because I have to do it. Because it makes me feel better throughout my week. So
yes.
And yes, I fall in love with the gym. I love movement. I love lifting weights, but not everybody is going to fall in love with the actual action. However, I do think most people will fall in love with how they feel when they're putting those actions into place. And so if you don't love the gym and you've been going for 6 months and you're like, God, I still don't like this. Why not? Like, maybe you just don't, but you will like how you feel. And so you'll continue those actions.
And I would also say as well, usually the person who's knew it, using the gym example, that's new into the gym, that doesn't like going to the gym, usually that stems from a self-conscious, a fear of the gym, an uncomfortability, thinking that people are judging you and stuff of that nature. And the only way to break down that wall is to keep showing up because none of that shit is true. Yes, you might be fearful of it, but nobody's judging you. And if you're uncomfortable and unsure on your form, the only way to get better at something is through reps. The only way through, to get better at something is to work at it, right? We provide you guys videos with it. We provide that that type of stuff, that feedback. So you're gonna get over that hump where maybe you don't love going to the gym, but you do love how it makes you feel afterwards. You do love that you're carving that time out for yourself, and that makes you feel good because even though it's something you might not love doing, you're showing up for yourself, and that's paving the way for the rest of your day or week or just health in general to be much smoother. I don't know. I think, yeah, those are our last slide right there. So those are kind of your pillars of TLF, your pillars of health, your pillars of success. Anybody have any thoughts, questions? Renae, do you have anything else to add to any of that stuff? We actually flew. I thought it was going to take us way long to get through all that stuff. We did a good job.
Um, Not entirely. I mean, the things you do and play like every day, I feel like is just what adds to it. Like we each have our own different like staples and things that lead to that. And sometimes again, you have to reevaluate those things and change them. And sometimes when you're really disciplined, those things can look at a higher threshold and you may lower the threshold a little bit when you're not on top of your game. But yeah, I mean, I think we kind of covered it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I completely agree. I'm going to stop sharing real quick here. All right. Yeah. So really, what it just boils down to is you got to know where you are. You got to know where you want to go, and then filling that missing gap in between there. What are the actionable things I need to do? Why does this stuff matter?
You're not going to know all the now when you're in a program like this, you're getting help. But when I first started my journey, it was okay, well, I want to be healthier, but what does that really look like? What does that entail? And I didn't start out when I decided, oh, I'm going to be healthier. I didn't just, all right, I'm drinking 128 like 128 ounces of water. I'm strength training with a structured plan 5 days a week. I'm not drinking. I'm doing this. I'm getting 8 hours of sleep. I'm mindful. Like I didn't come in with, okay, here's 5 things I'm going to hit the ground running with. It more so was, okay, I want to be healthier. So let's eat more at home cooked meals and let's go to the gym 3 times a week.
Yep.
Then that's under my belt. Now I'm adding in, okay, well, hey, just talking through Nicole or whatever, you should be focusing on your water intake. Okay, great, cool. Like let's focus on that. So when you're with Thrive Life Fitness, you get in a little upper hand of us recommending these pillars and things for you to follow. But just know that you don't have to do it all at once and you're not going to know everything at once. So you're not going to build your staples overnight.
Yeah.
That's just not how it happens. So you have to be comfortable in the journey of being uncomfortable to get to where you want to go. And you may not know where you want to go yet, but yeah.
But standing still or digging a hole for yourself and doing things you know are actively putting you into a worse spot, that's what we got to get out of at the very, very minimum. I
That's hard. It is.
It definitely
it's
is.
not, that's not going to change overnight at all by any means. You may have 2 good weeks and then you may backtrack again. And that's normal, but you have to reflect that in your check-in and you have to reflect that to yourself to be honest to yourself as well.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And not beat yourself up because none of us here are doing this for speed. You might want to see results fast, but at the same time, none of us have some sort of deadline that we have to do something by a certain time, right? So there is no rush to any of this stuff. So you just got to start with where you are and then understand you're going to have missteps and you're going to have trials and errors, especially with this. And we just have to learn from it. And that's, again, part of this. That's why it's an evolution. It's a process. It's coaching. It's not, if it was just as simple as, hey, follow this plan and you'll be golden, then we would just give out one-time plans and there wouldn't be any coaching facilitated with, or, provided for it. But that's not what this journey is all about, right? It is an evolution. You're going to get to sticking points. You're going to plateau. You're going to have small regressions. Those regressions will become big regressions if you're avoiding the accountability that you showed up for, that you came to us for. Lean into that aspect. We're not going to make you feel bad just to make you feel bad, right? We're going to ideally not make you feel bad at all. We're going to tell you, hey, give yourself grace in this area. Let's focus on this coming week. Let's make this little change and keep building from there. So lean into that type of stuff. Hopefully this, pillars of health and success helped, give you some clarity, give you some direction with it. Maybe just good reminders of things. Yeah, that's what I got for you. If you guys have any other requests on certain topics you guys want us to do, things you guys need specific help with, first off, it doesn't just have to be for the Zoom call. I actually had a newer client who actually started yesterday. She got her plan last week. She started yesterday, and yesterday morning, actually, she said, "Hey, is there any chance that we can hop on a Zoom call, or FaceTime or a phone call or something to kind of go over some questions?" And she was like, "I'm sorry for being a nuisance and making you do this." And I'm like, "No, that's literally what I want." Renee's the same way with this, guys. We want you guys asking questions. We want you to learn as much as you can from us, and we want you to overcome those uncomfortable pieces of all this, because the shit is hard. And the more you're asking questions, the more that shows you care. I get excited about that, and that means you're gonna get everything out of this that you came to get. As long as you're actually asking questions, you're really leaning into this. This might be 6 months of your life. It might be 8 weeks if you're doing the New Year's plan with Renae. It might be the next 5 years of your life. Who knows? I've had people been with me since 2017. But regardless, use it. If you're here, lean into this shit. That's what I got for you, though. So again, Happy New Year. We will figure out what the next one's going to be in February. It will be actually the second Wednesday of February, because the first Wednesday I'll be out of town, but it's a month away, so we'll talk about that closer to time. But otherwise, people that are still on the call right now, you have any questions, anything you want to add to this conversation, don't feel obligated to, but I do want to give you guys the floor if you need anything. And thanks for making time out of your Tuesday night to be here. All right, friends. Well, happy Tuesday, and we'll see you guys on the next one, and see you on check-in day.